Hello. Okay, got that set up. Perfect. Let's go ahead and announce we are live. Hello, hello. All right, we are live on Instagram, right? Or not Instagram. We're live on YouTube right now. So if you have any wholesaling questions, real estate related questions, let me know and I'll answer them. I'm not going to be on very long today because I got to go look at some office space and hopefully we can get some office going and I can do more of these videos. Perfect. If you're here, let me know. Let me know. I want to know who's here and how I can help you. And if you guys can hear me all right, let me know. I got a lot of background noise because I got family over and they got kids. So if you hear screaming, that's why. So excited to get this office space underway so that way I can start getting like a good lighting set up, just a quiet area to make cold calls and just to get a bit more productive. So I've been working home like this entire time and been in business for myself. And so I'm anxious to see what it's like to have my own office. Um, and maybe that's what I've been missing to 10x my business. So excited to venture out and try that out. So if you're here, let me know in the comments. Let me put a comment in here. Ask away. Any questions you got? Where is the TaskRabbit videos? I have a video I mentioned TaskRabbit. I don't remember which one it is. It wasn't like a specific TaskRabbit video, but I think you mentioned that last week, and I do have that I have it in my notes to do a video on that, so I will be making a video. I'm doing about two videos a week, and I'm trying to bump that up to 3, so maybe that'll be on my next week. If I get any deals in Michigan, we can JV. I don't actually wholesale in Michigan, so I don't know how I could help you there. But I'm sure if you reach out and post on Instagram, go to Wholesaling Houses Full Time, you could probably find a bunch of people who are in Michigan that could help you, better help you. But if you're in Louisiana or Maryland, let me know. And am I saying it right, Mary or Mari? But I want to say I appreciate you coming back to back. I've seen you in here a couple times, so I appreciate your support. And definitely, if you have any other questions, let me know. I'm scared if I get a property under contract and have buyers come see how I would regulate the showing virtually. Okay, yeah, I think we talked about that a little bit briefly last week. So at that point, you would have to make sure that you filter your buyers correctly. And even sometimes when you filter them correctly, not always, but sometimes, you just don't know the person. So they might have, bad intentions on trying to take the deal, talk to the seller behind your back, see what you got it on a contract for. And that's always a possibility. But I wouldn't focus on that and I wouldn't worry too much because those kind of people kind of weed themselves out and people tend to not to work with those kind of people. What's up, Gabriel? And so I wouldn't worry too much about that. But what I would do is protect yourself by filtering the buyers first and foremost. And then two, if you can, using that task rabbit just to have somebody facilitate the showing, let them know, hey, listen, I'm hiring you because I need somebody there. Basically, what's going on is we're showing the property to a couple of our contractors, and the contractors are not to ask any questions to the sellers directly. They're just there to walk through. If they have any questions, they are to ask you, and you can relay those questions to me, or they can just relay the questions back to me. If the seller has any questions, then you can relay those same questions back to me and just let them know your sole job and purpose is just to facilitate the showing because we are a national company. If you give them those specific instructions, just like let them know, hey, if somebody tries to talk to the seller, you interrupt them and say, hey, listen, I was told not to allow you to talk to the seller directly. If you have any questions, talk to Alex. And when you find somebody that's really good at that, keep them. You can save people on the TaskRabbit app. Like you can save them as your favorites, and then you can hire them again down the road. So really, really simple fix. There's always going to be that fear, especially when you're starting out. I know exactly what you mean, but I mean, you got to ask yourself, what's the fear of? The fear of not having any answer, or the fear of not taking action, is greater than the fear of the buyers blowing up the deal. So if you don't take any action, you don't get it under contract, then you'll never know. But if you get it under contract, you start to learn, like, hey, some signs that maybe these people are trying to take the deal from me. And that's where you build really good rapport with the seller too, because I've had sellers who got offered more, and they'll come back to me and, hey, this guy tried to offer me more money. I didn't take it because I really like working with you, but I wanted to let you know. And I always ask them, hey, what was the name of that person? Because then I'll let them know. I'll call them up and I'll say, what are you trying to do? And I'll talk to them and I'll say, next time you do that, or if you ever do that again, I'm going to tell every single wholesaler and investor that I know, and they're not going to do business with you. I have a very tight connection with all the wholesalers, and they will not do business with you. And then I put them on blast on the Facebook pages too, because nobody likes bad people like that. Do you have a custom website to wholesale? Do you mean like attracting motivated sellers? I'm having trouble building up a big enough list out here in Cali. What types of lists are you hitting, and what filters work for you? So Gabriel, I heard this before, and I think it's a really powerful statement. You only need one prospect to make a list. And what that means is, even if your list is one person big, that person is, enough for you to get a deal. So a lot of people think you have to have this huge, ginormous list. But what I would suggest is try to get an answer out of everybody on that list that you pulled. So if you already have a list of even 100 plus people, try to contact every single one of them. Until you've contacted every single one, you don't know if there's a deal out there, because there's people that you're not contacting. In this business, it's not who you're contacting that gets you the deals. It's who you're not contacting. And so keeping that in the back of your mind, I want you to try to change your philosophy on, should I pull more lists? No, you should be trying to get an answer from every single number and annotating it in your CRM or your list, whatever you're using to manage your leads, or your prospects rather. I'm actually going to do a video on like prospects versus leads and the confusion between the two, how to use that to decide on who to follow up with, things like that, to break it down real simple. But Mary, so what I use is just Investor Carrot website, and you can just buy the domain name of your website. So for mine, it's like Alex Buys Maryland Houses, and you can name it whatever market you're in. But until you're concrete on like what market you want to be on, I wouldn't suggest setting that up unless you're going to do it locally, no matter what. Then you can pick your website. So don't do anything like that until you have a market you want to be in, because the setup to put in like all the information on the website for your market, like We Buy Houses Minnesota or whatever, you don't have to keep flipping back and forth if you switch markets. I've never tried surplus funds. I've never heard of that, actually, if that's a website or something. But yeah, you guys hear me all right? I turned my volume down so there wasn't as much background noise. But if you can hear the background noise and it's too much, let me know. I can turn my volume down. I want to know, what kind of action did you guys take, since we got a lot of the same faces in here? Um, it's Spencer's Vans course. Yeah, I've never heard of it. But what kind of action did you guys take this week? I want to know what steps you're taking in your business, and kind of go from there, since we're having a lot of the same people come back. Interested to hear how you guys are doing. Even if you made one call and it went extremely bad and you got laughed at or cussed out, whatever, I want to hear about it. What action did you take this past week for your business in wholesaling? And I think, every week you should be asking yourself, what steps did I take to get myself closer to a deal? None. I'm not 18. I can't convince anybody to sign my contracts. You can't convince anybody to sign your contracts on your end, or the sellers are not signing because you're not 18. Because I can solve that problem real quick. So if you just take the action, cold call still, yeah, you're still younger than 18, but obviously you don't have to tell the seller that. You just work for an investment company, right? So what you can do is you can just keep, building that list, calling those prospects, filtering them out, and then once you have a deal, send the seller the contract, and then once you have a signed contract from the seller, go to one of those real estate investment meetups. And if they ask if you're 18, just say yes. And then just get in there. And if somebody says anything, then, just let them know, hey, listen, I got a deal signed by the seller. I'm looking for somebody who can sign the other side of this. And, I just want to see if there's anybody here who's willing to JV this with me because I'm not 18. So focus on steps. I don't want you to you have any fear, I'm not going to be able to find anybody who's going to sign. Take that next step. Take that next step. Make those calls anyways. And then when you get to the point where you have to have somebody sign, then you start looking and make it a priority, because then that's when you make stuff a priority, that's when things start happening. That's when you start planning and, things start coming to your life. I know what to do, but people who don't think it is shady. But people who don't know think it's shady. When you set up the wire to the title company, do you need a person who is signing the bank account? Yeah, so you're gonna need somebody's bank account, and that's what I'm saying. You're gonna have some kind of agreement or somebody you can trust to do it. And if you go to one of those real estate meetups, or if you get on the phone with somebody and you can filter them, you can kind of get a sense of who they are on the phone. Then you can say, hey, I want to do business with this person. I trust them. I have a deal, and worst case scenario, they steal the deal, and now that's worst case scenario. But the best case scenario out of that worst case scenario is what a deal is, and who not to work with. Every failure that you have, even if it's not your fault, or even if it's something that you felt like you can't control, you have something to learn from that. And that's where people who actually make it in this business are different from those who don't, because they don't care what happens to them. They're going to learn from it and move on. Again, don't look at this as I got to do this in the next 2 months. Look at this as I don't care if it takes 10 years to get my first deal. I'm going to do it. I've sent out 500 SMS texts last week. I'm sending about 100 SMS a day. Awesome. And how many responses are you getting out of those 500? When you set up the wire, you already answered that. Just remember, Mary, every time you have a situation where you have to find the answer, you usually do. So just imagine, for example, you were working at a job and you had to get this performance done, or you're in school and you had to get this essay done, and you had 2 hours to do it, and it's a whole essay. You're going to find a way so you don't fail that class. That's how I was growing up. I was always a procrastinator, and I waited till the last minute, and I did everything the day before, even like the big assignments, and I still got them done somehow. I don't know how I did it to this day. What's the best skip trace for free? TruePeopleSearch.com or AdvancedBackgroundChecks.com. Should I drive for dollars on PropStream or Deal Machine? Well, if you already have PropStream and you don't want to pay for a whole nother service, then PropStream is probably the best. But if you don't mind having two services and paying for them, then Deal Machine's really good for on the go. You can't really do PropStream on the go. They have an app, but it's not user friendly. Deal Machine's very user friendly, so if you are actually driving for dollars, then you can do it through Deal Machine. You don't even need either of them, actually. You can just drive for dollars on Google Street Maps, and then it's a little bit harder to find the address that way, but you can find the address by looking at the numbers on the house and the street name, and then go to True People Search or Advanced Background Search and look it up that way. Everything's free. So there's a free way to do this business, and it's a little bit harder, takes more time, but there's also the paid way. Deal Machine is cheaper. It's $50 to start out, and I actually have a code that you can use, and I'll post that right now in the chat so you can get some free credits. Because you'll get free credits just for using it, but it is cheaper. How does that sound? Let me pull it up here. Gabriel, how many of those people message you back? How many responses? Let me just do this here. There, I just posted it in the comments for you to. I'll pin it actually. I pinned the comment there so that way you can see it. You can sign up there. You get free deal credits, which is like free skip traces, free mailers, and you can do it that way. I think you have to buy like the Street Engine to do it on Google search, and do it all in like one fell swoop, but it's still cheaper than PropStream. It's like $70 instead of $99. Out of the 500, I've gotten back like 200, but either not interested or wrong number, or they want retail price. Perfect. So I'm going to mention this briefly, and I'm going to make a whole video on this, and your mind's going to be blown here in a second. So, Gabriel, out of those, keep track. Don't just like discard them. Don't throw them away. For the leads that are not interested, keep track of them either in the CRM, like a Podio, or in an Excel sheet, and then put a note for each one that when you get a response. And put a note on there that says, hey, this person was not interested on this date. And then follow up with those people in 6 months. So it's important to write down the dates that they're not interested and follow up with them in your 6 months. Boom, you're already building a pipeline. And you're like, well, they're not going to be interested in 6 months. You'd be amazed at how many times I've gotten a deal that way. Not only that, but the people who are the wrong numbers, you want to keep track of that too, because then you want to go back and try to find those people either through True People Search or doing multiple skip traces on that specific person. And then those are the people that are going to be usually the best deals because nobody else is contacting them either. So you see how your focus is, instead of burning through 500 and then moving on to the next list, now your focus is to go through that 500 and contact every single person, because every disposition, whether it's a wrong number, do not call, not interested, or they want retail price, is a good thing. That's telling you exactly what's going on with that prospect. So for the people who want retail price, they're still a lead. Anybody who wants to sell or he says yes to selling and they give you a price is a lead. Anybody who has not given you a price or answered yes to selling is a prospect. Think of it like this. My neighbor is a prospect until I knock on their door and ask them if they want to sell, and they say yes. Then they become a lead. So all my neighbors are considered prospects. Get all the prospects out of the way by filtering out the leads and then putting the leads in your pipeline for follow-up, and then the do not calls. If you can't confirm that they're the right number, try to find the extra numbers and make sure that they're actually the right owner, because there's a lot of times people who are do not calls are people who just get called and they're not even the owner. So Follow-ups are hard. They're just the same as regular calls. You just say, hey, I'm following up with you because we talked 6 months ago. Wanted to see if you're still interested in selling. No, that's okay. Is it cool if I follow up with you in the future? Can I skip trace with Ben certified? I don't know what that is, but you can skip trace with about any service. So you have batch skip trace. I use REI SIF, batch skip trace. You have True People Search, which is free. Advanced background checks, which is free. Bunch of different places you can check out. I just want to mentor. Mentorships are expensive. Typically, I paid over $35,000 for mine. So you got to kind of get in those price ranges once you start getting into the mentorships. Like if you want a course though, usually those are going to be cheaper. How are you finding correct numbers? Just like I said, True People Search or advanced background checks. I go through there until I find all the right numbers, or because you're going to get like dozens of numbers usually for each lead, and I cold call every single one until I get a yes or no on whether or not they're the owner, and then a yes or no on whether or not they want to sell. That's all I'm looking for. You paid Kong way too much. That's all objective, right? Or subjective. Depends on how you see things, right? I see knowledge as something that's going to pay for itself over and over, and it has. And some people see money as money, and so their attachment to money is greater than their ability to learn and to grow. So if you can lose that attachment to the money, then you're not scared to invest it. And if they're giving you knowledge that they spent 8 to 10 years on, I think it's worth way more than that. And I think I actually got a really good deal. I mean, look how big he is now, and I have that connection with him, and I can call him anytime, ask him for advice, even on social media stuff, and he's there for me. And it all started out with something like that. He could easily charge $100,000. People would pay for it. So I saw the opportunity and took it. But again, that's not for everybody. Not everybody's willing to risk that much money. So it just depends on your threshold, what you want, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's different when you close deals and you can pay. Yeah, that's true. If you don't have any money, you can't get a mentorship. But that's where you got to look at other avenues. Just because you don't have the money to get started doesn't mean you can't learn by working for somebody, doing some work for somebody else. And it's not that I had money, right? I came from nothing, and my first deal, it just happened to be something that, it was $65,000. I was blessed for that, but it took me over a year to get, almost a year to get. So it's not like it was bestowed upon me, and I threw that money away. But let me work for you, for me, that would be great. I appreciate that. But I actually have VAs, and I wouldn't be able to pay you. You're working for free. I appreciate that. I really do. And somebody will appreciate it even more, and they'll be able to pay you and also mentor you in the process. So I would suggest just being open and honest. Here, you know what I would do if I had absolutely no money. I was under 18. I was looking for somebody to mentor me, and I was just hungry to find somebody who's willing to, just hold my hand. Here's exactly what I would do. I would go to like a wholesaling houses full time. I wouldn't create a freaking post. Everybody creates a post. Oh, I need a mentor. I need help. Here's what I would do. I would create a video of you just don't be over trying to sell it. Don't be trying to like dramatic. Be yourself. Be like, man. And I almost debated on sending or like posting my video I sent to Kong when I didn't get accepted just for paying, right? I had to be accepted by Kong out of a group of applicants, and we had to submit a video to be accepted. And I was thinking about posting mine on my YouTube just so you guys can see it, but man, I was like straight up. I said, listen, I don't care how much I got to pay you. When you talk, it makes sense. I want to learn from you. Whatever it takes, I'm willing to do it. Here's why, and here's my resume, as you would say, on why I'm reputable on what I say, and then follow through with it. So create a video and post it. Don't be afraid to, don't be afraid to put yourself out there. And that's where it's going to separate you from everybody else asking for help. You're going to post a video. You're going to be like, listen, I've been diving into the YouTubes. I've been diving into the books. I got the basics underway. I'm making cold calls. I just want somebody who can walk me through it, or maybe I could work for them and for free. In exchange, they teach me the ways of wholesaling. And be straight up with them if you meet somebody like that. Say, I'm only planning to work for like a year at a time, or I only want to work for you for 6 months, but I will be the best person in your business for 6 months straight. And then follow through. Like, reputation is everything. I'll work for free too. I appreciate that, y'all. I mean, it means the world to me that you say that and you would be willing to learn from me. Um, it really does. However, I've had people pay me good amount of money to learn from me, and it wouldn't be fair to them if I took anybody on for free, even if they were working for me. So that I couldn't consciously do that for the reason that people have paid me. But there's been people who have been in your situations who have had even less. Like, they didn't even have a place to live. They didn't have a lot of the stuff that maybe you have or what I had, and they still make it with just a little bit of information they have. So don't think that because you don't have a mentor you can't make this. I'm just telling you, if you really, really, really want a mentor and you want somebody to walk you through, hold your hand, that's just one way I would go about it, is posting that video. And don't post it just once. If nobody responds, if people are going to make fun of you, people are going to laugh, people are going to reach out to you, try to scam you for money, just because you post it doesn't mean you have to accept any offer that comes in. Obviously filter them, but just because they're saying stuff doesn't matter. Post it more than once. Post it every single day of the week until somebody gets the point, like, man, this person's serious. That's why I said post a video. Don't make a post. Everybody makes a post. There's no emotion in that. You know what sells people and stuff? Stories sell. People don't care what you have to say. They do care how you make them feel. If they can relate to you, if they can feel your emotion and they can feel your story, they're going to be sold. I'm not 18. See, right there, that you got to change that mindset. You got to be like, look, I'm not 18 yet. That's a great thing. I can get a head start. That's how I'd be looking at it. Like, hey, I'm not 18 yet. That's why it's awesome right now for me to get started. That's why it's easy for me to get started. I got all the time in the world. You know what? I wish I was in your shoes and I was 18 and I knew what I know now, or at least try to get into what I did now. But this wasn't even on my freaking radar at that time. So, you guys give me 1 second. I'm going to take a call real quick. All right, so that's the person I was meeting for the office space. So I got to wrap this up in the next 5 to 10 minutes. But take what I said, Mary, and everybody who wants to learn from somebody, from me, whatever. I'm not going to be able to take anybody on as of right now. All my videos that I put out there is more than enough information for you to get started and get successful. And even the tips I tell you right now, a lot of it, you know what the majority of people, the difference between people who make it and who don't, it's not where they start, it's not how much money they have and how smart they are. I'm dumb as shit. And it doesn't matter what situation they're in. It matters, the number one factor that determines who's successful versus everybody else. And you know who said this? Brad Chandler of Express Home Buyers. He's local here in the Maryland area, but he does over $1 million a year, or $1 million a month. Excuse me, $1 million a month in wholesaling alone, strictly wholesaling. And he got started 13, 14, 15 years ago. He does $1 million in wholesaling. And he said, know what the number one factor is between me and everybody else who doesn't succeed? He said, my mindset. My mindset is the number one determining factor. And I got a chance to meet this dude. And I got to tell you, it was so inspirational. One, because I was the only one that answered his question correctly. I was at the real estate meetings that I tell you all to go to all the time. And he said, what's the number one factor? Nobody said a word. I said mindset. And I just, I didn't even think about it. I just said mindset. And I was like, that was dumb. I'm going to be wrong. And he said, exactly, mindset. And I was like, fuck yeah. I was super excited. But anyways, that's my little victory of that day. So, but number one thing is mindset. And he does $1 million a month. Just think about that. You're trying to do one deal. He does $1 million a month. Just think about the level of thinking that you have to be on to do that. And it's nothing that you can't do, right? He's no different than you. It's just a matter of how he goes about things. So I'm just not 18. You got to change that around and be like, man, I'm not even 18 yet. I'm getting started. I'm ahead of the game. I'm going to get started right now. I don't care if somebody says I'm not 18 or I have to be 18. I'm going to find an answer. You know how many times somebody told me I can't do this deal because there's liens attached? I sold a $300,000 lien on a property that was worth $150,000. So I sold a property, or a wholesaler property that was worth $150,000, and somebody owed $300,000 on it, and I wholesaled it for $70,000, and I made 20 grand off of that. You know how many times a title company told me I can't do that because there's $300,000 lien attached to that property? I had to teach them how to do it, and that's just because I'm hard-headed, but I'm no different than anybody else. I'm 15. Oh my gosh, you guys are blowing me away right now. You 15, 18, 17-year-olds freaking getting it started right now. I'm so like, I don't care, and I'm not trying to be corny or nothing, but like, I'm so proud of you guys. Like, man, you all are on the right track. I've been looking at real estate businesses in my area. Should I go to the one with a lot of stars, or should I go with the one with less? They could be starting out. I would go to all of them. I don't care what the reviews are. I would go to all of them and go with the one that matches with what you want. Find somebody who, I have a video on this on my YouTube, how to take advice from people, and it's the same thing for how to find a mentor. And what you're looking for is somebody who resembles you, or like, you can connect with. If you feel like somebody's trying to sell you on something, you feel like it's just not in your gut to agree with what they're saying and what they're doing, their actions, their body language, don't do it. That's why I want you to go to every single one and go with the one that you feel is the one that you trust the most. You can tell when you trust somebody, and maybe it's like listening to me right now. Maybe you guys trust me, maybe you don't, think I'm full of shit, whatever. But obviously a lot of people are here and you guys come back week after week. It's probably because it's something I'm saying, something I'm doing. Maybe it's my story, maybe it's the way I explain things, whatever. Find that in somebody else who's going to be mentoring you if you're doing it local, going out. But putting yourself out there and meeting these people are not only going to know, you're not only going to know who the big players are, but you're going to know like what to expect, right? And it's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to be scary as hell. I was extremely introverted, so I know what you're going through. But if you can get past that fear, just imagine all the opportunity that lies right past that fear. Are you going to let that fear win, or are you going to win that your life? Are you going to let that define you, that fear, or are you just going to get past it and, unlimited possibilities behind it? So somehow this Q&A turned into a motivational session, but I'm going to wrap it up there because I love, I wanted to be a motivational speaker as a kid, and I watched Tony Robbins, and, obviously I enjoy him. But I hope you guys found value out of this video. If you did, please smash that thumbs up, as it does help the channel. Also, be sure to subscribe down below if you haven't already. I do these every Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard, and you can find out a lot of information on what I'm doing on Instagram. I posted at the top left of my screen, and I appreciate every single one of you watching this, and I hope you all have a safe and great rest of your weekend. You have a good one as well, Gabriel. Thank you. Take care.